So guys, I decided to share with us how I made this beautiful Ankara pencil dress with a princess that bustier. And in this series, I would also be sharing with us how to sew this net gown one on top of the Ankara pencil dress. So the one at the middle is what I made, while the other two are my inspiration. It's a girl, a JB fashion style. So I have my Ankara fabric and my lining piece, and then I also have my pattern paper. So this I would be using to draft my pattern, which would use to cut out on our actual fabric. Okay, so in today's tutorial video, we're going to be drafting the pattern for the making of the Ankara pencil dress. And so at the very top of our pattern paper, would be taking our starting line. Okay, so from there we'll be taking every other measurement, and from the starting line to my bust point is 10 inches, but I usually add 1 inch to it, or half an inch, because of the shoulder slope. And from the bust point is the under bust point, which is 14 inches, and then I went further to take my waist measurement, which is 16 inches from the starting line. Okay, so I'm simply ruling a line across all the points which are indicated. So I'll go ahead now to label all the lines, and then from my bust line I'll be taking the measurement for my chest line. So all I simply do is go up from my bust point by 2 inches, and then I would go ahead to rule a line across it as well. So this enables me to draft my armhole curve. Okay, so on my starting line, I'm taking my shoulder to shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches. So I'll make a point there. From that same point, I'll be using my straight rule to connect it into my chest line. Okay, so on my chest line, I will take my bust circumference measurement, which is 40 inches divided by 4 to give me 10. So I made a point there as well. So for my neckline, I'm using 3.5 inches into 4. So I made a point. I'll be taking my shoulder slope measurement, connect it back into the neckline. If you watch my video a lot, you would have seen this on several occasions. So to be able to draft my armhole curve, so from taking my midpoint, I'll go in by half of an inch, okay, so as to be able to get that curve. So I'll be connecting all 3 points together now using my curve rule. So if you're not a beginner, you could use your free hand. I use my free hand a lot, but for the sake of this tutorial video, I get to use my curve rule. So on my bust line, I'll be taking my dart measurement of 4 inches. So I'll make a point there, and I'll repeat it on my underbust line and my waistline. So these 3 points I'll connect together with my straight rule. So on my shoulder slope, I'm going to get the midpoint now, and then connecting it back into my dart measurement which I've taken. On my underbust line, I'm also taking a measurement of half an inch on the sides, which is towards me, and on the other side, I'll be taking a 1.5 inch measurement. So I'm making a point there. This I would also be doing for my waistline, and I'll be using my straight rule to connect the points together. So on my bust line, I'm going to go down by 1 inch. I made a point there. So using my curve rule, I'll be connecting it back into my dart. Okay, so before we take our bust tightening, first we're going to be drafting our sweetheart neckline. And for this, I'm going down by half an inch on my chest line. So I made a point there. So using my curve, I'll be connecting it into the armhole area. Okay, so you could also use your free hand. So to get my bust tightening, I'm going to be taking 1 inch measurement on both sides of my dart around the sweetheart neckline area. Okay, so this point I'm indicating now, I'll be connecting back into the line using my curve rule. So after I'm done, I'll go ahead now to take my waist measurement, which is 32 inches divided by 4, give me 8. So I'm making a point there. And for the 2 inches that measurement, which I'm indicating with my fingers now, I will also be adding on the side as well. So on my chest line, I've not added my dart measurement. So the 2 inches dart measurement there, I would also be adding on the side. So using my curve rule, I'll be connecting the measurement on the chest line to that of the waistline. So guys, for our neckline measurement is 3.5 inches into 3.5 inches. So I would simply be connecting both points together. Okay, so the upper portion of this pattern will not be required for the making of this outfit, but I'm just drafting it out. Should I require it for a pattern that has a yoke, which I would need? Okay, so I went ahead to cut out my pattern. So ensure you are careful while doing this so you don't cut out on the portion you would need. So guys, after I was done cutting out my pattern, this is what it now looks like, neatly done. Okay, so we'll be setting this aside now to work on the back pattern for the making of our dress. So for this, I already have the basic pattern drafted on my papers. Okay, so the difference is just the zipper area and then the neckline. So on my chest line, I'm taking my dart measurement of 4 inches like I did to the front, and I'll also be repeating it on the waistline. So the 2 points I'll be connecting together using my straight rule. So on that chest line, I'm going to go down by 1 inch as well. Okay, so I'll make a point there, and then on my waist point, I would be taking half an inch measurement on both sides of my dart. So this I would connect back into the points I had taken below the chest line using my straight rule. So this is the basic dart taking for the back of our dress, or rather the pattern for the back of our dress. Okay, so on my bust line, I'm taking my measurements for my bust circumference, which is 10 inches, and on my waistline I will take the measurement of my waist circumference, which is 8 inches, and I will also be adding the 1 inch dart which I had removed earlier. Okay, so the 2 points is what I'll be connecting together now using my curve rule, and I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. So be careful when cutting out your pattern so you don't trim the portion that will be required. So I'm also using my curve shape to cut the yoke portion from the bustier portion. Okay, I'm going to trim that out now, and the last and final thing we'll be doing to this back is to work on the zipper area. So I'm removing half an inch from the bottom portion, making a point there, and this point I would be connecting using my straight line to the top in a slant manner. The reason for this is to ensure that there is no bulginess when attaching your zipper. So I'll go ahead now to trim this out, and this will be it for the cutting or the drafting of our pattern for our bustier pencil gown. Okay, I went ahead to use my pattern to cut out on my actual fabric. So at the bottom portion there, I'm giving half an inch allowance, and also at the top and at the zipper area. But for the side, I gave 1.5 inch seam allowance. So the next we'll be working on will be for our skirt portion. As you can see, I've cut out my fabric for both the back of our skirt and also for the front. So the one for the front is a single piece of fabric which I had folded in two, and the one for the back are 2 pieces of fabric. And so the difference between the front and the back is the zipper allowance, which you can see from there. Okay, so ensure while cutting your fabric you give extra allowances for your seams, okay, before taking your measurements. So for my waist measurement, it's 8 inches, and then I'll be adding 2 inches extra for my zipper allowance. And then from my waist measurement to my hip measurement is 10 inches. Okay, so I'll make a point there now. So for my hip measurement, it is 10.5 inches. And then I also added an extra 2-inch seam allowance to it on the side as well. So at the bottom, I'll be taking a measurement of 10 inches, okay? And then instead of 2-inch seam allowance, I'll be adding 1.5. So it's an inch less than the measurement of the hip. The purpose is to have the pencil shape at the bottom, okay? So you could make your measurement the same with that of the hip, is optional. So I went ahead to connect all the points together from the waist. And after I was done, I'm simply trimming out my skirt pattern. So this is what it is looking like. I have my space for my zipper allowance. So for the front fabric or the front portion of our skirt, I'm removing 1 inch from the waist there. Okay, so the point I just made, I'll be connecting it to the side using my straight rule. So it's a slant shape. This will help my skirt sit well on my waist. So this is done for only the front portion. Okay, so you would use to identify the difference between the front and the back. So I'll be placing it on top of the back fabric now, and as you can see, it is having this dip around the waist portion. So this is basically it for the drafting of our pencil gown with a bustier pattern. So in my next video, I'll be sharing with us how to combine all this piece of fabric together. So thanks guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.